It's the Redirect Podcast. Search industry research, discussion, and analysis from the Black Truck Media and Marketing Headquarters. And now, redirecting you to the Black Truck team.
And welcome to another edition of the Redirect Podcast. It's Friday, June 9th, and we just got back from spending a few days in Boston for Search Love Boston 2017, put on by the team from Distilled. So here to discuss with me are team members from Black Truck Media. It's myself, Jason. I have Patrick and Ashley joining me again today, and we're going to run through kind of some of our key takeaways from the event, things that stood out from us, and I guess really things that maybe we learned, things that weren't on our radar before. So, Patrick or Ashley, do you guys want to start off?
Well, one of the first sessions of the first day was with Dana DiTomaso, and she was discussing engagement as I lost the...
Did you lose your train of thought?
Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but...
That's fine.
And engagement. Okay, so optimize for engagement. Future-proof your local search rankings. So her session was focused on local search and increasing engagement. I liked the pointers that she gave about using the exact location, adding those to your appointments in Google Calendar so that you can track when people are finding where you are through those links, and including even your link to on Google Maps in your email signatures and tracking that. I just really liked how she was talking about the engagement of... I'm just stumbling today, apparently, but you guys can feel free to jump in.
No, I think you make a good point. You know, the part where that Dana really picked up on was, well, it was local search marketing. It was more her biggest point that she touched on was spamming is huge in the local market right now, and review spam. So she had posted, and I saw it on Twitter too before the event. It was like there were 100 Starbucks that got reviewed, and they were all reviewed by the same individual, and they were all like 4-star or 5-star reviews. Clearly, that individual did not visit 100 Starbucks, and that's not a legitimate thing, but it's happening right now.
Right.
They were all over, too.
Yeah, all over the world, right?
They weren't just like LA Starbucks. They were...
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map right now, all across the U.S.
Yeah. Oh, it was just U.S.? And Google's not really... I don't think anybody came out and said Google's really doing anything about it. But I think where she was going is kind of what you were trying to touch on was your personal Google timeline, which is Google tracking you, which I didn't realize this until Dana mentioned it. And then Monday night I got lost in multiple Uber ride shares trying to settle up on a bill from dinner the night before that we don't have to discuss. But I noticed on there, it told me in my Google map, that I had been there the night before, and you were here yesterday. So, a lot of times the reason that people are missing popular times based on their maps is that a user doesn't have that enabled on their phone, or they don't realize it. But that's how the popular times is coming up, is because it's tracking your mobile data, your phone data, to say that, hey, Patrick was here at 6 p.m., Jason was here at 3 p.m., and they kind of start to lump that data together to show when it's popular. It's not based on any other data than people who are physically there that have their phones on them.
Right.
And there's no other way to do it.
What I thought interesting about that whole ordeal, too, is the combination of what we learned in that session versus what you personally experienced later that night trying to get across town to the proper place.
Which was horrible.
So when you got there, your phone said, you were just here last night.
Pissed me off.
And it was a place in Boston that had, it was a one-off standalone restaurant that had maybe 2 other businesses named similarly, if not the exact same thing in the downtown area. why didn't it tell you? Didn't it say, do you want to go to the one you went to last night? Or that I felt that was really a fail point in the Google my Google process, the experience,
Well, I mean, it could have been clearly it was. I think there was a lot of user error in there too. So to back up, remember I got new phone, so I'm a Pixel XL user now. So I just set that up essentially Friday night, Saturday. We flew out on Sunday,
right?
So I really didn't. I'm not going to say I didn't really know, but I really didn't know what I was probably getting into, and I didn't have the Google Personal Assistant stuff really set up. I do have some of it set up now to play with it a little bit more. Had I known that, maybe I would have been able to recall that. But I will say, even on a local search level, or even assisted learning or machine learning assisted side, even Uber didn't tell me the exact location because Uber didn't exactly know where it was picking us up from. So I wonder if that also goes back to our Google Map issues as well.
Yeah, when actually you didn't join us for the actual dinner in question here, but when me, you, and the rest of the crew, Jason, were walking around trying to find it, we walked past it twice. Because it was a small joint without signage. It was a local hotspot.
They probably don't have an official Google My Business.
I don't think that's even on their radar, considering the size of it. And I mean, our office is larger. Our office is twice the size of this restaurant.
Our room is the same size.
Right. It was fantastic food, but we got lost getting there, and I clearly got lost having to go back. So
I was more of your Google Assistant in that situation. Because we were texting.
Totally. But I think that I've heard Dana speak twice, and I really like her approach. She's very much this no BS approach, and she's very much in that local search space, and how do you create better engagement, and are you're emailing your customers or individuals who have been there, but is that data even interesting, and is it consistent, or are you just spamming everyone for reviews, you know? So I thought that was really really good stuff. So
can I jump in?
Yeah.
This presentation I thought was great was day 2, Jeremy Gottlieb.
Oh, goodness,
I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right.
Probably slaughtering his name.
Yeah. But he did a discussion on did politics break the internet, or did the internet break politics? And he focused his presentation upon the way in which digital and online marketplace for fundraising has changed from the year 2000 and on, in how the groundbreaking efforts, I believe it was it the McCain camp raised $1 million in the year 2000 online?
Something like that. I honestly did not take a lot of notes from that, because I was very awestruck in the data that he was presenting, and I thought it was fantastic.
I don't have any notes either on it. It's one, that was a technical issue. 2, I was so enthralled by it that I remember it all. But so it was like $1 million in the year 2000 for safe monetary transactions. Think about how the internet worked in the year 2000, especially for a fundraising thing where you're not exchanging it for a product like Amazon style. Just you're giving away money. Okay, so then fast forward down the years, did a really nice timeline, but then he broke in the year 2016 in the way the Trump marketing team used targeting and the highly advanced call it propaganda to present the right image to the right viewer while they're reading it. And there was small private parties working on their own, and just through public domain, through the data he could find, he painted a picture that was pretty glib with how the Trump marketplace dominated all the other marketplaces to get himself to rise to the top. Nothing was not on the up and up. It was all common practice, the way to do it, except for the whole part that took place in Morocco. That was kind of weird. But he used Trump as the example, but you can take that whole approach and use it anywhere in the marketplace to go after any competitor when you're working on a big global marketplace, or even in the national front here in the U.S., if you have massive competitors out there, and if you have the team and the money to back this campaign, it was crazy how much targeting you could do on that to really paint everyone else in a bad light and make yourself rise to the top. It was almost scary. I mean, it is scary. I mean, look what happened out of it, you know? And it seemed like with that presentation, it's not that the wool has been over my eyes, but it pulled the wool off my eyes to show that we're going into a place now with the internet that the world has never seen, and every single day we're going to see something that we've never seen before with this process.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know, it's like we just saw this craziness with 2016, and there's all this talk with 2018 getting ready to happen. I think everything that we've learned through the advance of this campaigning with 2016, we're going to see it in 2018. But when is that going to trickle down? When is that going to trickle down to the rest of the marketplaces and the other e-commerce that's out there, and how is it going to be used? When is it going to go out of the world of spam and spam email and hacks and the cookies here, cookies there, a little pixel there, a little pixel here? At some point, it's going to be, air quote, used for good, you know, and what is that going to do? And
yeah, and I guess the other side of the party would tell you that it was used for good,
right?
You know, so to not show biases at all. But I think what I took away from it, I found that really fascinating. What my big takeaway from what Jeremy had to kind of put out there in his entire slide deck is that we know that data is available, right, at such a granular level. But it's the sheer approach that was taken, the scalability that took place, you know. So if we take digital marketing as a whole, social, search, paid media, and look at when things really started, you know, kind of the first quote-unquote digital campaigns took place, like mass digital campaigns would have been with the Obama administration back in 2008, to now, it's the hyper-focused targeting that is available. And the fact that the Trump campaign was able to do it, they were able to do it and scale it at the size that they did, is purely fascinating. Whether you like that party, like that individual, that we're not here to talk about that, but it's just fascinating the fact that they could take that model, replicate it, kind of this, wash, rinse, repeat to multiple markets, multiple angles, connect with the individuals they needed to, and never have to be in front of them.
Right.
Like never have to be in front of them to influence them.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part, right? And I think to your point, that's only going to grow.
Right.
But I also think that the majors, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, are going to also work diligently to help curb some things that maybe they're not very proud of. A lot of the fake news and things like that, kind of outside of paid media.
It's one of those things that I've always said. You know, I mean, I'm relatively young in this game, in about 5 years now, and the stuff I learned that was the proper way to do it in 2011, 2012, we can't touch with a 10-foot pole anymore, because advances come, then things get pushed and shoved and manipulated, and next thing you know, the rules change a little bit. It's like, well, we didn't really mean you can do that. You should do this a little bit more on the up and up. And then so they close that door, and the next thing you know, that gets manipulated. And I think that was, in this case, it happened to be used in the example of the 2016 election, you know, but it could be used in any facet of the marketing world.
Well, and as marketers, aren't we key manipulators of data anyways?
100%.
I mean, you know, tie that back into, you know, day one with Ross Simmons talking. Ross is a fantastic presenter. I think very brilliant guy. But talking about how distribution rules everything. So content isn't necessarily king, right? You can have crap content and have an extremely dialed in distribution model to get your content out there, to get your word out there, and it'll have legs, right? we'll just tie that back into campaigns and just kind of table that, right? We'll just kind of leave it there. As long as you have good distribution, you can have crap content.
Yeah.
But I think what he said too is where's your audience at in finding those passionate people? So in the political world, did they do that? Did they look at those passionate individuals for both sides of the party,
Right.
And try and exploit is probably not the proper term to use in politics, but did they use them? Did they use them as social currency? Yeah, absolutely. But how do they take those Facebook groups and how do they take those audiences that are available in social and target them more in a more detailed fashion that has never been done before? So that's what I took away from that. But Ross had some really great points. More so about are you getting your distribution out there and really engaging in conversation with the people that actually do care, and that's something we talk about often. Like, are we creating content just to create content? Or are we creating content that resonates with an audience, and then what do we do with it after?
Yep.
And not being individuals that are in the social media space from a community management perspective outside of ourselves, meaning we're not that's not actively on our radar all the time. That still all makes sense, right? I mean, it still all makes sense to create genuinely good content that will resonate with your audience, that they want to read, share, that type of thing.
Yeah, providing real value.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes from his session.
Perfect. Yeah, that was my big thing from Ross, and to tie back to what you were talking about, Patrick, on that. The big one for me, I think out of day one that I highlighted a lot of notes on was I really enjoyed, it was Matthew Barbie. So his talk was subject unlocking authority, so bridging the gap between architecture and UX. So and maybe it resonated with me because that's something that we've been talking about a lot lately, so I'm probably hyper focused on it, and I don't even remember where Matthew was from. Is he part of the Distilled?
Yeah,
he's from HubSpot.
You don't remember that accent?
Man, so many accents. So obviously from the HubSpot side of things, there's I'm not going to say that they have a bias, but they definitely have a bias. It was very interesting that he focused maybe less necessarily on just the content side of things, but also talked more in depth on improving internal links, but and how to implement good internal link strategies, and when do you do that? Like, what's the signal? How do we look at the URLs that have maybe high levels of impressions, but maybe the average position or ranking is low or a big number? So how do you utilize that data to then help create your internal link strategy that then bolsters up those lower authoritative pages, which is, that's nothing new, right? I mean, we've done that for years here, and it's certainly a tactic that works, but I think it does have to have a strategy behind it. I really liked, he pointed out that you really need to find the dead ends within your architecture and fix that. And that's so key. I mean, you can have a beautiful website, but if the architecture of it is horrible, meaning you have to go down 4 halls to get to where you actually want to go, or you hit a dead end, that's just poor usability from an architecture standpoint. It doesn't have anything to do with design.
That's one of my favorite things to pick apart on a site.
Right.
It's finding a way, how does this work? We have that conversation all the time where we'll be working on a client and you'll hear one of us just go, ugh.
Well, I think I read somewhere, shouldn't it be, people should be able to find what they're looking for on your website within 2 clicks. That's.
Yeah, I think at a max, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at a max, two clicks. We know our attention span is extremely short. Lexi Mills even talked about it at Search Love. It's like goldfish. Goldfish has a higher attention span than we do. So if you can't deliver me what I want when I want it, right now, I'm out. So Matthew offered up 2 great tools. I've had the opportunity to check them out. Sitebulb or Botify to help map out what does your internal linking graph or structure look like, and I think it's probably helpful for more maybe more non-technical or non-SEOs to get an idea of what does that internal link structure look like, and basically get out of the spreadsheet for a moment to do a sitemap. I think that spreadsheets are absolutely horrible tool for doing sitemaps, but I also think that mind maps are absolutely horrible for doing a sitemap too. I think that you can effectively map out a site with bullet points, but that's just me. I think that Sitebulb and Botify help to do that in a very nice, whether it's hierarchical or just kind of flow chart-esque way. So that was a big thing for me on day one there. That was great.
Right.
Who else really stuck out to you?
I really enjoyed...
Or Patrick?
Do you have...
it doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
Okay, I really enjoyed Christy Hulse.
Oh, yeah.
She was the content marketing. Her biggest thing was content outreach. We've heard a lot of stuff in the news or in the industry news. How guest blogging is dead, and Google is penalizing on those kind of things lately. But she was really pushing it, and her approach was different and fresh, and I really liked it. The thing that struck me the most was where she said she was much a large market where multiple news sources were relevant for her client size, I think. But she had a whole staff of journalists in her back pocket that she has relationships with from publications across the globe, where she can just one-on-one email with them real quick and say, hey, I got this thing, I think you should write about it. And it was long-term relationship building. And the part that really kind of floored me was she's like, yeah, I pay them. I pay them for their time, and I pay them to...
Not to cover the stories she's looking for. To get covered,
But just to...
and that's a really great point. This isn't a paid, hey, I'm gonna slip you some dollars.
Right.
Can you cover my story?
That's not right. But just it was it's something that I've always struggled with. It's something I've worked with in the past. I've been shut down before. I've tried both ways of being upfront that I'm with an agency and I'm representing this business. I've tried it the other way where I've been like, no, I work for this business. I'm not an agency. And I've had failures with both and successes with both. And years ago, I kind of gave up on that. And I'm kind of excited to give it another whirl again with a fresh approach and to see if that can find something to be beneficial on that.
So that was more, I think it was more along the lines of helping her understand best practices for reaching out to journalists, and I don't have the notes in front of me. I guess I was live tweeting the event and I didn't catch everything.
But I think where I think you're going is that she really encouraged everyone to, and probably her words were, think laterally. So it's the notion that we're always operating within our niche or within our market, but in order to get noticed, the content that you're creating has to be really, really good, because whether you're known or not, it's almost like, oh, you sell nuts and bolts, woohoo, so do these guys and these guys and that guy and this guy. So it's like, how are you really going to stand out? And while she was a little abstract with some things, it was like, try and find topics that are in your subconscious mind, then research them. That was a little far off in La La Land for me, but I could get where she was going. In order to come up with those really next level, or what some might refer to as 10x content, you really have to think out there a bit.
Yeah, I found, going back to Patrick, what you were talking about, she was very open about paying journalists to help with feedback on content, strategy advice, and some press releases, tweaking press releases. So I, with my PR background, I just wanted to jump on that of she's not paying them to cover the stories that she wants to get paid.
You're right. As soon as you jump in, oh yeah, where did that go?
That sounded bad, didn't it? What was your take then too on Lexi's conversation? So Lexi Mills talking about filter bubbles, and you and I had a kind of sidebar conversation about, was it you'd always kind of studied or heard about people trying to get out of filter bubbles, but never getting into filter bubbles, which she was very much like, no, screw you guys, we're gonna go into filter bubbles, right?
So. Kind of going back to what we were discussing earlier, too, going back to just 2016 and everything that happened online in 2016, something that came out of everything with the presidential campaign is that these filter bubbles exist online and people get stuck in them. And, that's not great because we don't get to see life outside of these filter bubbles that we've mostly unknowingly created for ourselves. And so, Lexi was discussing leveraging those filter bubbles and finding ways to use them to our advantage. So people who are in, I believe, was she discussing Facebook groups? I think a few different people were discussing Facebook groups.
There's actually quite a bit of discussion around Facebook groups, the whole event.
Yeah, so just using the fact that those bubbles exist to get your clients in front of people in those arenas. So that was a really fascinating take of what you said, Jason, is like going into those filter bubbles.
Those filter bubbles, another way of saying it, like I think I like the phrasing of filter bubble, but I think what we've been used to hearing is called is curated content.
Oh, sure.
It's your Facebook feed, you've all, in the last 18 months, I'm willing to bet that you blocked a couple of people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you're creating your filter bubble.
That's a great point.
It's curated content. Same thing with like your Instagram feed, it's like you have a select type of industry or picture or style that you want to keep in your Instagram feed. That's curated content. Suddenly there's a world happening outside your curated content that you're not privy to because that's not the kind of stuff you put in front of you. It's like you pick up a newspaper and there's objective news across the industry, whereas you pick up your Facebook news feed and it's just what you want to read.
Yep.
It's...
Well, and I think it is, so her big statement kind of to tie that all back together was we're no longer hacking algorithms, but we're hacking humans. And that's very much the case. Is like the algorithm is going to show you more of the humans based off of a would-be filter bubble, but that's something that you don't like anymore for some odd reason. And so then you unfollow, unfriend, whatever, block, and so you're actually hacking the human side of it versus the algorithm of what the algorithm's trying to tell you. So
make your content fit into that bubble and then break the bubble from the inside out.
Yeah. And I love one of her concluding statements was to open up your filter bubbles, personally as marketers and as people. She had this line up on her slide of aiming for greater understanding as opposed to greater separation. And so I just think that that's a really quality statement to make.
It's it's so very, very close, very recent. We had just talked about people that have like fake personas on Facebook.
Yeah.
And how if you work in digital media, especially if you work in digital media of any sorts, PR, search, whatever, like, why are you not using your real name? Like, what are you afraid of? What are you hiding? Let's be real. Like, if somebody wants dirt, they've already got it on you. So you might as well build your own personal brand as well and keep that going. But
Lexi even said that. She said she previously had two profiles. One for basically what she called, did she say like cyber stalking or what? She said she had one profile on Facebook for X and then her main profile for Y. But then after a while, she's like, yeah, what's the point? And she just did it all under her main profile.
Seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. How many times do you see someone creeping up on your LinkedIn profile? Well, at what point do you react and go, oh, hey, Pat.
Yeah.
So, wait, seriously, like at what point do you just reach out and be like, all right, look, do you want to meet for coffee or not?
So why did you just like 20 of my pictures?
Exactly. Yeah, this isn't awkward at all, Instagram.
And another thing from Lexi's presentation that I thought was very interesting was how she had done a PR campaign for a word related to a client's product ahead of that product launching, and so raising awareness of that word, so it was on people's radar, and then when the product launched, it was, people were much more receptive to it. I thought that was a very interesting, especially because the word it was not well known, which is why it was brilliant to do a campaign around that. It was Bandicoot, so...
As in Crash Bandicoot?
Yes, as in Crash Bandicoot. I thought that was a really cool play. And that can backfire, too, I think.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, why? Who cares? But it worked, so that was cool. I
found April Dunford. I found her talk to be really... really great. It's totally non-SEO related, which is fantastic. I think it's a great way to break that up. But it was really so using context to transform your offering from crap to compelling, right? So it's that whole notion of background. April works with or has worked with a lot of startups and kind of going through. Some might call their elevator pitch. Some might call their what's their unique selling point or unique value proposition? What are they bringing to the table? So, every time she said something that's almost like every slide, I could picture myself when I was going back through and just kind of refining even who Black Truck was over the past 8 or 9 years, and finally getting to the point of saying to people, no, we don't build websites. It even says it on the back of our business card now. We make websites better for search and users because ultimately that's what we do. We're not here to build websites. We're not here to design logos, any of that. We're really here to make sure that websites, whether they move up rank, increase traffic from search, and then ultimately get people to do what we want them to do. It was like going through that, at least from my perspective, from like a business owner's perspective, made me feel like I was a little refreshed, like, good. I'm not the only idiot that has had to go through that. And for me, I went through it alone. I didn't have somebody like her saying, guys, like, wait a minute here. These aren't just like robots that move crap around. Like these are autonomous vehicles for your warehouse, right? Like,
that was really cool.
So I found her extremely, extremely fascinating. So.
She was such a good storyteller. She told the story about trying to sell a database project, and during one of the pitches to a potential vendor, it's like, no, I get it. You're not a database. You're analytics. And I thought she was going to come back and say something like, and the name of that product? Google Analytics. Or something along those lines. Because she was such a good storyteller.
Yeah, that was really good. All right, anybody have anything else? Final takeaway?
The sum of the whole. Test.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
Don't be afraid to throw stuff at a wall. And
paid and organic, right? Paid and organic.
Yeah, and be patient with your tests, and let your people know up front that like this is going to be an experience. We're going to see what we can do by seeing what fails. Yeah, I think that's really great. Have a framework for it, so that everyone on your team, including, so if your agency side client understands that framework and how you're going to go about it. If you're in agency, your team members understand that. But if you're in-house and you're working with a particular brand or store or something like that, I think you need to have a testing framework internally as well, because you have multiple constituents and people that need to be reported to, and they need to understand how this may or may not affect them as well. So before you jump in testing, I agree, test, but document, have some hypotheses outlined. If we do X, we will get Y. What does that all look like? But yeah, really great underlying point. Really, kind of from start to finish.
I mean, even ending with Will's kind of freak out of machine learning and
The coin flip.
And it was kind of scary. So Will went through it, kind of an interactive scenario with all the attendees of Distilled going through. Here's the keyword phrase that we're searching for, and what is it? You know, what's your opinion? Which site ranks higher, right? And we got all the factors: domain authority, URL, overall size. You had the basics, and it was interesting to see how far it came down to. I'm happy to say that we were actually in the second to the last group to go out, so I felt pretty positive about that until Will flips a coin at the end and says, really, a coin flip is actually more accurate than anybody in this room, and that was kind of a humbling moment.
And really, the last example, pick A or B. I honestly was like, I don't know.
I wasn't sure.
I'm just gonna pick an arm to raise.
Well, that's why testing is so important then, because you can't predict, what will work. So why not try different things? And
there's a lot of, I think we can all agree that there's a lot of turbulence. I almost said turmoil. Turmoil is not the right word, but there's a lot of turbulence within the search community right now with machine learning and the fact that we really don't know what the bots are going to do, air quotes bots are going to do next, and you just have to be prepared, and you have to always it's just, I think it further solidifies the fact that you constantly need to be testing, you constantly need to be working and updating your site. These things are living, breathing things, entities, both organic, paid, social, all of these digital elements are living, breathing things, and you have to constantly be working them and constantly be testing them, and it's a constant battle. And so with that, now that we freaked everybody out who's listening, I think that we will leave it to that, and then tune into the next show, and we will dive into more industry trends, tactics, strategies. Until then, good luck, and you'll hear from us again soon. Thanks.
This has been the Redirect Podcast. Check out the show notes at blacktruckmedia.com and add us on iTunes and Stitcher.